Oh, okay. Okay.
I would have to change the angle of it. I guess I can still do that.
Yeah.
What's up?
All righty. It is game time.
Let me see. I'll do this. Okay, I'm actually going to do it. So,
yeah.
I'll be back. Because I can. It's just, if I change the angle of it, it won't be directly on. Mm-hmm. So it'll still have all the light, but not be on my forehead. Or as much. I think that's what you're looking for, buddy.
There you go. That's nice and clean.
Yo, clean but no caffeine. We're gearing up, y'all. We are gearing up. We are 40 seconds away from being back. I mean, we're back now, but we're waiting for the network. So, yeah. 25 seconds and counting. 10 seconds. Yo, what's up, my brother? Yo, this is episode 144 of the Collective Podcast. I am AC from LA, and you are?
SG Trilogy is in the building. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. SG Trilogy in the building with AC from LA. We are the Collective Podcast. We are coming to you live and direct from the Pacific time zone, the Central time zone, and we got a little bit together as the Collective, and we are ready to rock. So greetings to all of our first-time viewers, our last-time viewers, and everybody in between. Thank you to our first-time listeners, our last-time listeners, and everybody in between. And Sam, why don't you let the people know where and how they can find us, and just know that you got the updated banner.
Oh, yeah. All right. So we have a saying here at the Collective Podcast that Saturdays are always best when you connect with the Collective Podcast, and there are quite a few ways that you can do so. So you can go to our official website, which is thecollectivepodcastofficial.com. You can also check us out on NGBN TV. That is NGBN TV. Please download the app. On Facebook, we are TC Podcast Official. On YouTube, X, and Instagram, we are TC Pod Official. We ask that you subscribe to our official YouTube. On Instagram, he is AC from LA, and yours truly, I am SG Trilogy. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. And then I'm going to let you guys know what we're talking about today. Little NBA playoff action. Nothing outside of playoff action. No trades, no coaching updates, no unrest, just playoffs. Talk a little bit about Major League Baseball. We're going to drop into the NFL draft. And then the culture, tech talk now, and the closeout. So let's get right into it, Samuel. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the NBA.
All right. So as we kick off the 2024 NBA playoffs, last week we scratched the surface with the matchups, And now we are in the midst of some NBA playoff action. And so let's kick things off in the East. And so you have the Boston Celtics against the Miami Heat. And this series is exactly what I would hope for, a series in which it's very competitive. The series is tied. They've played 2 games thus far, and the series is tied at 1 game apiece. I think the big thing is, and we've talked about it throughout the year, with the Celtics, when you have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who virtually play the same position, how would they play together long term? And now we're seeing that in the form of they play the same position and they're doing a lot of the same things. In this series thus far, Jaylen Brown's averaging 25 a game and Jason Tatum is averaging 25 and a half a game. And as I said, this is a series that, I think hopefully, I'm not a Celtics fan and I try to steer clear of anything that supports the Celtics. So hopefully we will see the Heat continue to bring the heat. And yeah. What are your thoughts, brother?
Well, they say don't try to fix a good thing or don't. They say variations of those things, but I feel like I can improve upon your little quip there. So I'm going to say you hope that Miami continues to bring the heat. Ooh.
There you go.
See what I did there?
There you go.
So I've said this on this platform time and time again. I really like Jason Tatum. I really like Jaylen Brown. I hate the Celtics. So whatever it takes, and I think that they are the best team in the league this year. And I think that both on paper and demonstrated throughout this season, they should represent the East. I don't feel like they should run away with the actual NBA championship, but they should absolutely come out of the East. And so this is opponent number 1. And so for 4 straight rounds, I will hope that if the Celtics are still there, that opponent takes them down. So I hope that Miami brings the heat. Continues to bring the heat.
That's some great color. All right. From there, let's look at the Knicks versus Sixers. The Knicks lead that series 2-1. And Joel Embiid had an amazing performance in Game 3 in which he hit 50 points. The standout for me, and, when you look at him on paper or even when you look at him in the game, I'm talking that in the form of Jalen Brunson. Jalen, in the words of Charles Barkley, he doesn't appear to be all that athletic. But in this series and throughout the season, Jalen has brought his A game. And in the playoffs, he's averaging 28.3 a game, plays under control, hits big shots. And I really love watching Jalen Brunson play. As I said, that series, the Knicks are up 2-1. And it's going to take Embiid is actually leading the league this playoffs in terms of scoring. He's averaging 37.7 thus far in this series. So we shall see exactly if the next game will return to the Sixers to tie up the series. And if not, they'll end up being on the ropes if they can't tie it up. What do you have on that one?
So it's interesting. So they're already on the ropes. Let's be clear. When we're talking about Philadelphia, they're on the ropes. When you needed a 50-point performance to get that win, then I don't believe you because he can't score 50 points 3 more times. And I want to actually go back to Miami too. It's kind of tough for them also because they hit 23 3-pointers to get that win. That's an anomaly. So if you do other things and get the second victory, Philadelphia, then we can talk about it. But I don't necessarily believe, or I absolutely don't believe that means anything. Yes, you did get a win, got a win at home. You're supposed to defend home court, especially when your standout is always in MVP discussions, and he's Joel Embiid. But I definitely don't feel like New York should panic, and I know that it's a different space for New York to be in, being the favorite, being favored, and actually delivering on the home court promise. So, if I were a New York Knicks fan, and I'm not, I would not panic. Now, if you give up 50 points again, or find another way to let them win, put it like this: if Philadelphia ties the series, then New York should absolutely panic, because that's a lot of momentum going back to New York. So no panic right now. I don't believe in Philly. Philly gets that win, Cobbs, then yeah, okay, I'll go ahead and believe you, and we'll talk about it. That's what I got.
with the Cobb shout out. All right, from there, let's look at the Milwaukee Bucks against the Pacers, Indiana Pacers. Pacers lead that series 2-1. A couple of notable injuries with Giannis as well as Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton seems like he couldn't stay healthy throughout the entire season. And so now, you take this into the playoffs when you really need his outside shooting. I think, with a healthy Chris Middleton, that really helps the Bucks. But with him being on the ropes right now, Chris he's managing to get it in. He's averaging 26, almost 27 a game. The big difference maker, of course, for the Bucks being that in the form of Dame Lillard, who's averaging just a little bit over 32 a game. And I think that series, I think that the Bucks will win that series, but it's not going to be just easy, hands down, the Bucks, since it is right now. A series is at 2-1 Pacers ahead of the Bucks. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts on you taking shots at Giannis, or just my thoughts in general? What are you?
What are your thoughts on this series?
On the series, I have the Bucks coming out of the East. So
you did.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is Indiana Pacers, and they're 170 points a game, but they don't play defense. I know it's 2-1 in favor of the Pacers, and so it's definitely time to panic for Milwaukee. But I have to stand by the fact that I picked Milwaukee to come out of the East. Now, here's the thing. I did it with no supporting evidence because the best player in the league is injured. So it's kind of with my heart, which is funny because your heart says you want the Milwaukee Bucks to burn. You don't want them to. You don't even want them to show up to the game. And I understand the loyalty there. I used to have loyalty like that to one Money Green 23. But I think yours is your loyalty is in a better place. Like I feel better about your loyalty and supporting your loyalty and saying no to the Bucks than maybe you would about championing Draymond Green when I was championing Draymond Green, because clearly he pulled the wool over my eyes.
Yes, he did.
I was hoodwinked and bamboozled. However, since you brought him up, if he had played all 82 games, they would have been the number 3 seed. That's all I got to say.
Wait, what are we talking about?
You brought him up, not me. I just had to respond because you brought him up.
Oh, okay. Let's get this train back on the track. Thank you.
Milwaukee. I have Milwaukee, but because Indiana scores 170 points a game, it's really difficult. Like, I don't know. You basically have to tackle them. And so even though they don't play defense, they never stop running. It's almost like this is what Paul Westhead. This is what Paul Westhead wanted in Denver. So
yep.
The running
defense was optional, and they always opted out. We're just going to outscore you. We're going to run you to death. All right. Let's see. From there, let's go to the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Orlando Magic, in which the Cavs lead that series 2-1.
I wasn't even aware that these two teams were still in the NBA. And I know Spider plays for Cleveland, so that's the only reason I found out that Cleveland still had a team. But go ahead. I'm ready to weigh in when it's my turn after you.
All right, so Donovan Mitchell is leading the Cavs. The Spider Mitchell's leading the Cavs, averaging 22 a game in this series. Outside of that, that is the one series last week I told you, like, I really don't care much about this series. Yeah, it's great. Congratulations, you're in the playoffs. I don't really have much to add as it pertains to said series. What are your thoughts even with this series? I'll look, for the sake of conversation, I'll say, okay, the Cavs will come out of this one and head to the next round. But
well, it's a weird dynamic for me because we're in 2024 and the blockbuster that was Donovan Mitchell to the Cavs has led to Donovan Mitchell scoring 22 points a game in the playoffs. And in 2024, that's not significant, especially when teams score 135 points a game. So I don't know. I like Donovan Spider Mitchell, but Orlando looked really good in game 3. They were led by Paolo Banchero and Jalen Suggs, and they, I don't know. Maybe I do believe in Orlando. I just really didn't know they were still playing in the NBA. So stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Yeah. But so in that series, you think Orlando's going to come out?
No. If I didn't even know you still had a team, I can't pick you to win the series. So I'm going to go with Cleveland.
All right, you'll go with Cleveland. All right, from there, let's shift over to the West. OKC Thunder against the New Orleans Pelicans, in which the Thunder lead that series 2-0, being led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 30.5 points a game. There you go.
AKA Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
There we go. That one too. Dog, 30.5 a game. I think that the Pelicans are done. Pelicans are done, bro. If they win a game, I would be surprised.
Is it time to blow them up? Is it time to trade all the pieces and rebuild?
Yeah. Well, okay. Where are you going to start? Okay. If you're a GM anywhere else, do you want Zion?
You mean a GM in basketball, or
like a GM? If you are an NBA GM, are you willing to trade any of your key pieces for Zion Williamson? Since we're going to say it, would you be ready to blow him up?
Yes. Can we please get rid of LeBron James? Only if I'm the LA GM. Only if I'm the LA GM.
Dude, so you don't have concern. You don't have concerns with Zion's conditioning.
I want the LeBron James era to be over in Los Angeles. So I don't care if it's LeBron James for
anyone.
Marcus Smart.
Like, come on, man. Now you're just being completely reckless.
One plays better defense than the other.
It doesn't matter. LeBron James is 137 years old and he's still averaging 26 in the playoffs. I get what you're saying, but
listen, in the right position, you only need 22 per game. Ask Donovan Mitchell. Wait, so 26 points per game? How many wins per game? 0. I wish I had a third fist. Give me one fist so we can have 3, 0-3. Come on, give me a fist. Give me a fist.
No, I'm not participating in this ridiculousness.
Come on, give me a fist.
Look, I'm going to give you a part of a fist that only has one finger. So put those fists down. There we go. All right, so who do you have in this series? You have OKC coming out or New Orleans? What are your thoughts? Thank you. You better say OKC.
OKC coming out of the West. What are you talking about? Let's go.
Okay, there you go. All right, from there, this next one we're going to get through really quickly because I think their hearts have been stolen, and yeah, there's no return for the Lakers. Lakers are down 3-0 in that series, and after losing a 20-plus point lead earlier in the series, brother, I think it's a done deal. I don't see the Lakers doing anything significant, meaning winning 4 consecutive games against the Nuggets. Don't see that happening. You have anything to add there outside of your disdain for LBJ?
Pick me. As a Laker, just as a Laker, I think he does phenomenal things in the world. I think he's a role model in the world. I don't like him in basketball. Yes, I think that I don't even think that it's the right conversation to have. Like, can they win 4 in a row? No, they can't. I think the challenge should be, can they win 1 in a row? And I don't know that they can. I don't know that they can, because now that you're down 0-3, the challenge for the Puppet Masters, aka the Denver Nuggets, is, will we show the world that we are strong and that we will not lose a closeout game? Or will we show that we have compassion for LeBron James Jr.'s future team? And I think that they're going to close them out. So I love the Lakers, just to be clear. And let's not have any misnomers floating about. I absolutely love the Lakers. They don't have it. They don't have the horses. They don't have the firepower. Anytime that you're in game 2 and we start talking about D'Angelo Russell's looming free agency, no other team is talking about looming free agents while they're trying to win a series, but no other team was down 3-0. Anyway, yeah, you said they're cooked.
Yeah, they're done.
Whatever Chick Hearn would say about the refrigerator, the butter, and the Jello,
yes.
all of that.
What did it say? The lights are out, the eggs are cooling,
Jello's cooling,
the getting hard, the Jello's jiggling. He said, Marge, warm up the RV. It's time to roll. Vacation time. All right, from there. And you called this one. I didn't see it looking like this. The Timberwolves against the Suns. And the T-Wolves aren't playing. Those young T-Wolves are up 3-0.
Let's just say the sun has set in Phoenix. And once again, and I will amend this, Kevin, Quintavious Durant has won nothing without Klay Thompson. So it's there. I changed it. Without Klay Thompson. All right, go ahead.
That was my diplomatic of you. Maturity right before my eyes. Yeah, this series, man. The young guns on the Timberwolves, man, just look like they wanted more, and they're not willing to take any shorts. So they
scream louder when they do good things. They scream louder, and I think that matters.
They punch the Suns in the mouth. And I think we're seeing Anthony Edwards, man. He is really showing his star power, because being a two-way player, I think initially when he came out of Georgia, everyone really talked about his defensive prowess, him being a strong defender, which he is, but offensively he's coming into his own where he's hitting the mid-range. Of course, he's a slasher and plays above the rim, but he is definitely exciting. I'd love to see him at some point. If he continues to ascend, I'd love to see him in some purple and gold at some point, because that kid is amazing.
They would trade him for Anthony Davis and LeBron James?
That's not going to happen. That's not happening. Let's see from there. The Clippers against the Dallas Mavericks, in which the Mavs showed up and showed out last night and gave it to the Clippers. They gave it to them. So the Mavs are up in that series 2-1. And the Clippers are going Clipper. And I really don't know if the Clippers will be able to shore up the ship with, Luka's getting down, Kyrie, that 1-2 punch of Luka and Kyrie at any given moment. Those two can go off, and I don't know if the Clippers have enough to contain that.
Yeah, so this is where I will step in and say this is much like the Indiana and Milwaukee series, in that it can happen. Now, obviously, Indiana handled their business and went up 2-1. Because the Clippers stole one, and that's what we say when you win one on the road, when you're the underdog. They stole one in Dallas, so they went into last night tied at 1. So they were basically playing with house money, and they experimented with some things, and it was close in the fourth quarter. I think they wound up losing by 12, but it was close, probably with 4 minutes left. And so I believe that they believe, and I also believe that they can get over the hump, but they do need to win at home. Now that they've lost, because they got home court advantage, when they won in Dallas, and then they gave it right back, and then now they need to hold serve just to hold serve in the series. They need to hold serve at home just to hold serve in the series, and then they still need to get one on the road, or they need to get another one on the road. But I think that it's realistic to think that the Clippers can get over the hump. And just so we're clear, I'm not a Clippers fan. I'm just being real. I don't believe in Dallas more than I believe in the Clippers. So I feel like that series is what and what, as evidenced by the fact that it was 1-1 going into last night. So we'll see what Game 4 tells us.
Now, how much of when you're looking at a team that you can kind of reflect upon their history. Yes, we understand rosters have been tweaked, changed, additions have been made.
You always take shots at Doc Rivers, dude. Like, let it go, Sam.
No, what I'm saying is this: when it comes to you watching and analyzing the team, does your muscle memory ever lead you to think to the teams of yesteryear, past seasons, or no? Do you base it solely off of what you're watching right now, or do you say the Clippers are going to figure a way to screw it up?
So that's a great question, and I have to give you the how I was conditioned through baseball.
Okay.
So if you don't know, I am a Dodger fan, but I did spend, I know you know, but I'm saying to the viewers and listeners, I was a Red Sox fan for 23 years. And what you learn as a Red Sox fan is while you're dealing with what they called the curse, you had to have a short memory. And so it was over 100 years between World Series wins for the Boston Red Sox when we won in 2004. And I learned to take not only every season, like at every season, just have tunnel vision and only focus on the now, but even every series, because the Red Sox came close several times before 2004, even before I was a fan. When you look at them against the Mets in '86, when we were all going for the Mets because, Darryl Strawberry, Doc Gooden, Bill Buckner, the Red Sox first baseman, went down for a routine ground ball at first base, and it went through his legs. And the Mets wound up winning the World Series. And the Red Sox had that game in hand. So there really was a curse for them, but you had to have a short memory. Now, you go from 86 all the way to 2004. I wasn't a fan all that time. I became a fan in 97. But if you look at 2003 for me, right? Mm-hmm. The Red Sox are in the ALCS. And it's Game 7. So they are one game away from the World Series. Wind up going to extra innings, the 10th inning. Aaron Boone, who is now the manager, hits a walk-off home run in the 10th inning. And that's that. And the Yankees go to the World Series, and the Red Sox have to wait another year. Well, people outside of Boston, and also the people who grew up in Boston, were thinking, we're cursed, we're cursed, we're cursed. And yes, I felt that we were cursed, but I had to believe that we were going to get over it at some point. And so, we were even down 3-0, and it's like, oh, it's happening again. Down 3-0 in the ALCS the next year. We won that game. We won the next game. We won the next game. We won the next game. And shout out to the ghost of Mike Tillery. The Red Sox did what no team had ever done. They won 4 in a row after being down 0-3, and that had never been done before. So it had to be done a first time. You had to break the curse. And then we went ahead and put hands on the St. Louis Cardinals, who were like a JV team. We swept them. So we literally were down 0-3 in the ALCS and then won 8 games in a row to win the World Series. So, no, Sam, I do not look at the ghosts of series past and say they will find a way to muck it up. I have to believe that people are going to get over the hump if I do believe in whatever they're doing in the moment. And so I don't go with the idea that the Clippers are cursed, if you will. I want to feel like, well, the Clippers have never won anything, so they don't even have the right to be cursed. And at some point, they're going to get over the hump and win. I don't think it's this year, but I do believe that they can win this series. And so I also don't believe that just because someone's won in the past, that they're always going to find a way to win. So it goes both ways on that.
So as a Lakers fan, just as we get ready to wrap up this NBA talk, as a Lakers fan, seeing the trajectory of the Lakers, you see the Lakers are moving in a downward spiral as of right now. Yes, they're in the playoffs, but they're holding on by a thread. How would you feel if the Clippers won a championship? As a Lakers fan, how would that make you feel?
That's another great question. When you have 17 championships in your pocket, if you're for me, and you're talking to me, right? And yes, the Lakers are basically on Valley Ridge in a wagon, and they're going down the hill. And for those of you who don't know Valley Ridge, it's a very steep hill in Los Angeles, and it's a hill that we used to train on for football. Shout out to Coach Angelo Jackson. So if the Clippers win a championship, it just means that the Celtics did it. So I'm absolutely fine with that. I don't think the Clippers have the horses, but I have no problem with the Clippers winning a championship. I really don't. Like, you still don't run the city. So, and if the Clippers get one in the LeBron James era in LA, good for them. We'll be able to shout out Antonio Kenji, their DJ.
Yeah. DJ
Dents. I don't care, Sam. Do you care? Do you not want? Because I've never hated the Clippers. You know, I hold on. I got to know some of them, right? Like, that's when I met Marcus Johnson at the end of his career. Like, I know you knew him growing up, but I didn't meet him until then when he was on the Clippers, and Michael Cage and Benoit Benjamin. Like, I met those Clippers, and they used to come up to the Weingart Urban Center YMCA on Century in Vermont. And so I've never hated them. And when it's 17-0 organization to organization, or 12-0 in the city of LA, I'm not threatened by one. I mean, I would think that people would have been more threatened by Golden State getting what they got than they would be by the Clippers. But what do you think?
I think it's for me, it's not that I have a great deal of disdain for the Clippers. It's just their fan base, because their fan base has talked so much trash. You remember during the Lob City era when everyone thought, oh, the Clippers, the Clippers are LA's team. And I'm like, what? Based off of some Sports Center stats, they haven't won anything. So it's their fan base for me that just really annoys me, which makes me not want to see them win a chip. All right, man. I think we can conclude NBA for today, and let's move over to the MLB.
The MLB? The MLB. The MLB. Well, hold on. Let's get a little ace of that real quick.
Loyalty.
Watch him sweat. Look at that forehead, those beads.
That's why I said what I said. People scream loyalty and loyalty, but if he didn't give you that bag, he didn't create that opportunity, would you still be loyal to him?
Would you be loyal to him?
Probably wouldn't.
Probably wouldn't.
But it's convenient for you at that time to be.
It's convenient for you at that time. Okay. Well, you know. There you go, Sam. You feel good?
I feel good that you edited that accordingly. Thank you.
One little Coltrane and the Duke. Woo. I mean, how can you? Hey! Episode 144 of the Collective Podcast. I am AC from LA. He is SG Trilogy, and together we are the Collective Podcast. Or
let's go.
No, I was gonna do something, but yeah, you just.
I saw it in your face, man. I knew you were gonna do something that was reckless.
No, not reckless. Just amazing. Just creep with me through the podcast hood. Ow! Where my homies. So you want to go into Major League Baseball?
Yeah, man. Go ahead and kick it off, brother.
Okay, so the Dodgers had a rough week. And when you're the best team in baseball, or let's say arguably the best team in baseball, it's okay to have a rough week. So power rankings coming into this week had the Braves back on top. And you look at a situation where the Atlanta Braves are really being led by Marcell Ozuna right now. He's really having an outstanding season. He's near the top of the league in home runs and RBIs, and he's someone who they definitely relied on last year, but is having a much improved season. So they moved to the top spot. The Orioles, who were breaking through last year and have a lot of young talent like Gunnar Henderson, who is making a strong push for MVP, are leading them. And so they moved up from number 4 to number 2. The Dodgers dropped a bit, but my guy, number 50, Mookie Betts, who is now playing shortstop. Mind you, this is a Gold Glove right fielder who they asked before the season to play second base, and then in training camp asked him to move to shortstop, is once again excelling, and he is looking like the MVP of the National League, 100%. And that's with them being number 3 in the power rankings and going 4-0 this week. So they swept the Washington Nationals, and they won game 1 of versus the Toronto Blue Jays yesterday. And they really do look like world beaters. And they even won a game in that sweep of the Nationals. They won a game 2-1. So they can win low-scoring games, and they've only been shut out once this season. And so the firepower is usually there with the bats, right? And whether it be they'll base hit you to death or hit a couple of home runs or a few home runs, they can win the close ones as well. But sometimes the pitching is a little suspect. So they're still working through that. The Yankees dropped a bit. They had a not the greatest week, but Juan Soto, who what they used to say with the Yankees, the rich get richer. They were willing to outspend everyone, and then Boston jumped into that and was ready to spend too, and then the Dodgers are ready to spend, and so the Yankees haven't won. If you look at the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry, the Red Sox won multiple times since the last time the Yankees won the World Series, but the Yankees are still formidable or formidable. You can say it either way, so whichever you prefer. And they added Juan Soto to that super duper lineup. They took Juan Soto away from San Diego, and he's been really consistent. He's not looking like an MVP candidate, but he's looking like all that they needed him to look like to complement those other pieces. And this is all with Garrett Cole being down. So they are the 4 seed. Not the 4 seed, 4 in the power rankings. The Phillies now, see, they don't have a problem with pitching right now. For them, it's their bats that are sometiming. So they are number 5 in the power rankings, and Ranger Suarez is looking great for them. He's part of their pitching staff. When you talk about Cleveland, we talked about their Cavaliers earlier. They also have a baseball team, the Guardians, and they look really good. They kind of look like the Indiana Pacers in the sense that they have the highest run differential, but that doesn't mean they have the greatest defense or the greatest pitching. It's just that they put it together at the right time. So their run differential keeps them atop. And so, like I said, they're number 6. And Josh Naylor looks good for them. Then we have the Milwaukee Brewers, and they lost pitchers, but are somehow finding pitching. They've found pitching resolve in the pitchers that are still there. So Milwaukee looks better than we thought they would. Then we have the Cubs, the Rangers, and the Blue Jays rounding out the top 10. If we look at the significant movers in the power rankings, the Guardians moved up a little bit from 8th to 6th. The Brewers went from 9th to 7th. So both of them had strong weeks and moved up. Chicago Cubs only dipped a little bit from 7th to 8th. But where you're looking like you might want to panic or you might feel panic is in San Diego. They had a really bad week, and people were already kind of iffy about them at 11 in the power rankings, and they dropped all the way to 16. And then the Astros moved up from 22 to 17. So those were your significant movers. I would say that probably no matter what happens, the Dodgers will probably be back up to number 1 next week, or possibly at number 2. I guess, they have to get back over Atlanta now. But right now, early returns say that the Braves do still look good. The Dodgers obviously look good. And then the Orioles and the Guardians for the American League. And Mookie looks like your National League MVP. What do you have, brother?
So, as we look, we still have about 135 games remaining in the season. I think as we talk about the Dodgers, quite often we talk about their bats, as mentioned. They tend to not have many problems as it pertains to scoring, as it pertains to runs. But their pitching has been that Achilles heel for us in past seasons. And even this season when we've struggled, it's come as a result of pitching. So I'm hoping that, the bats will continue to crack with the Dodgers, but I'm really hoping that things are shored up pitching wise, because, as you progress during the season, especially on that back end of the season, that's when you want to have your pitching rotation operating at an optimal level. So we shall see, man. I'm happy with where the Dodgers are at this time. And I think, last season we saw a key example where they looked great throughout the season. We go in the playoffs and we have a dud playoffs. And it was a result of, I don't want to blame solely one entity, but pitching was a lot of that. Pitching contributed to us not faring well in the playoffs. So there you go.
So I just got a text and someone asked, aren't you a Rangers fan?
Don't even start that. Don't you start us and all that. Don't you even start that foolishness this morning.
So follow up text. Where do you live? Okay, that's fine.
Says the person who was a long-time Red Sox fan. Come on, McFly.
Don't you live down the street from the ballpark at Arlington? Okay.
No.
So it was just your colleagues that thought you were a Rangers fan. It's not true.
Man, if I can jump through here and just really cause some harm, I would.
We're not listening to you. Can you show us the sticker, the label, the decal on your coffee mug?
This isn't Rangers.
No, yeah. Thank you. No, go back. I don't care about lab. Stop. Dude, can you hear me? Go back. No, turn. Stop. And move the little tea bag.
What are we talking?
Shout out to Apple. All right.
There we go. There we go. So, that was a pretty good recap, man, as it pertains to the MLB. Thank you for your
pretty good recap. All right. Well,
pretty good recap of the week. Good job.
I show up sometimes. Go Dodgers.
All right. From there, where we going, man? We going NFL draft?
Sure.
There it is. You heard it. LA all the way. Easy Lover 231 leads Dodger blue.
Thank you for saying all of that, because you said let's go into the NFL and then you said LA all the way, so I was confused.
Let's go, man. Let's talk draft.
I need you to fine tune those segues, brother.
Whatever.
All right. So breaking news: the biggest shock in the NFL draft and maybe in NFL draft history was the Chicago Bears drafting Caleb Williams. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody. No, Caleb Williams was literally number 1 on everybody's draft board. And Chicago made a trade to actually get that number 1 pick. And then they traded away their quarterback, Justin Fields, because everybody knew that Caleb Williams was coming in as the starter. And by all accounts, this Mr. Williams is no Jeff George. So what was the other one's name? Drew what? What was Drew's last name? You remember the other number one, Drew?
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
No, it's gonna bother me. It's gonna bother me.
Anyway, that Caleb Williams is not going to be that. And when you look at the technology, dropping hints. When you look at the technology that goes into NFL scouting and the NFL draft, you know that you're not going to have the misses that they had in the past with these quarterbacks. So you can mortgage your future on a guy like Caleb Williams and be okay or be great. Well, no, not be great. It is the Bears. So, and be okay. And so shout out to Chicago for doing the right thing. When you look at how this all unfolded from Oklahoma, man, I watched I'm just all over the place. I watched Spencer Rattler on this show called QB1. And so I watched him in high school with some other quarterbacks who were going to college. And so I became a Spencer Rattler fan. And I think he got kind of done dirty in Oklahoma and then wound up leaving and going to South Carolina. But Caleb Williams wound up being, good morning, Mom. But Caleb Williams wound up being pretty darn amazing and hence the number one pick. So there's not really a lot that you can say. And so I'm really proud of Caleb Williams. Actually, I'm not a Trojans fan. Obviously, I don't like USC, but he delivered, right? He didn't deliver a championship, and that's really good. He didn't deliver a Pac-12 championship, and that's really good, like as a Bruin fan. But he did enough to solidify his place as the number one player on everyone's draft board, and hence the number one pick. And sure enough, that's what happened. So he's super versatile. He's going to pair up with Shane Waldron, and, Caleb Williams can throw the deep ball. So they're really looking for that. They've added veteran receivers, and I know that now they're going to say, okay, Justin Fields was a bust. And so you really want to see what he's going to do in Pittsburgh, but you also have Russell Wilson there, who people are saying is a bust. So
how can you say Russell Wilson is a bust, though? How?
Well, I feel like you talk about you have a problem with Clippers fans. I don't like Broncos fans as it pertains to Russell Wilson. Now,
right.
Denver, Colorado is my home away from home. So I love Denver, but I think those fans are unreasonable. And I think that, and I've never liked Sean Payton ever a day in my life. And so I don't know, man. It's tough, but they definitely said he was a bust. And so, we'll see what happens in Pittsburgh, but this is Caleb's show in Chicago. I don't think you should compare Caleb Williams and Justin Fields, because Caleb Williams is coming in with the new offensive coordinator. He's coming in with the new scheme, and he's coming in with weapons that Justin Fields didn't have. So we expect Caleb Williams to do great things. And I know that it's always going to be versus Justin Fields, but it's not about that. Like, let's just, Chicago fans, which I'm not, let's just celebrate Caleb Williams and see what he does. And I didn't mean to take that long on just one pick, but he was the number one overall pick. So I think that was okay. Do you have anything to add on Caleb before I go on?
So my thing is this. You mentioned something that was key for me, in which you said that Caleb Williams has weapons that Justin Fields did not have. So all of the dings and knocks against Justin Fields, could you say that those were warranted, that he deserved those? Or would you say no, because he didn't have all the weapons that he needed?
Okay. So in fairness to anybody who has made it as an NFL coach, I think Chicago could have been better if the Bishop Gorman coaching staff was coaching them. So no, I'm not putting that on Justin Fields. It's been a crap show there with the coaching staff, with the offensive coordinator. It's been a mess in Chicago. And in spite of all of that, Justin Fields showed up every week. So yes, I don't remember how to answer it, but it was absolutely unwarranted. Hopefully that answers the question.
Fair enough. One thing I saw that stood out for me, even looking at the top 10, when you look at the top 10 drafted, out of the top 10, 5 are quarterbacks, 3 are receivers, and then 2 offensive tackles. So once again, we're looking at the devalue or the devaluation of running backs, because you can take running backs, 3rd round or later and be good with it and not have to put too much into the running game. But it seems like majority of the top tier teams have that balanced scoring attack where they can play some downhill football. So it's interesting to me to see, years of past, running backs were higher on the food chain where you wanted a running back early in the draft. And now it's, we're going to make sure that we're pulling a quarterback in. And my thought is, when you're drafting a rookie quarterback, depending on the scheme of your team, are you looking for that immediate impact? Like they come in like Caleb Williams. Do you think he's going to have that immediate impact, or does he have an opportunity to grow and have those growing pains associated with growing?
Well, I need you to clarify your question, because
my question is multi-tiered. I think just looking at the top 10, it's apparent that running backs aren't the priority, and so shifting, that's a statement. But then looking at the 5 out of the top 10 that were drafted were quarterbacks. As you draft a rookie quarterback, I guess it depends on your team. But just thinking this through. As a GM, let's put on your faux GM hat right now. You're the Bears GM. You draft Caleb Williams. Are you expecting him to take you to the promised land year 1? Or does he have the bandwidth where he can make those mistakes, and you're expecting him to make those mistakes and learn as he grows?
Okay, so I still feel like his question is a little ambiguous, but I'm going to go ahead and just answer it my way, and hopefully I can get the answer to the masses. I think you've had maybe too much tea this morning. Okay, so he will be thrown into the frying pan right now.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're not expecting him to deliver the Bears to the promised land today. I think the parallel would be the Colts with Peyton Manning. You expect him to get acclimated and put up some nice numbers, but Chicago is not supposed to be a contender. If they are, then you got to have Coach of the Year, GM of the Year, Rookie of the Year, and potentially MVP. He's already supposed to be the Rookie of the Year, but potentially MVP. So no, yes, you are expecting him to deliver right now, but that doesn't mean promised land. That just means be better than the team was last year, and that's not difficult.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's the NFL, so everything is difficult. I get it, but I'm saying because it's the NFL, that's not difficult when you have these extra pieces. So no, there's not pressure on Caleb Williams, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that's my question. That's my question. Like, okay, are we unrealistic in thinking the rookie quarterback is going to make a major difference in year 1? Is that unrealistic?
No, but you have to qualify major difference. So he will make a major difference. They will not go to the promised land, but they will be better. They will be better because of the other things that they did.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be better. If they're not better, then that's still okay, because we can fall back on he's a rookie.
Right. Makes sense.
So I would say he had more pressure at SC than he will his first year in Chicago. Year 2, probably all bets are off. They probably do expect a Super Bowl in year 2.
Right.
For the Bears. Okay.
In year 2. Bears.
In year 1, yeah, he's all right.
Right.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Else? All right. So that was number 1 pick.
Yeah, I know. That's all we talked about. Number 1.
So, but I want to further answer your question, because I think that Chicago and Washington are similar, but then New England's different. So let me go through these top 3 picks, which were quarterbacks. So for Washington, the Commanders, and I like saying Washington Commanders and Cleveland Guardians because they got rid of, after a lot, they got rid of those horrible mascot names. We're still waiting on Florida State, and we're still waiting on the Atlanta baseball team to get it together, and they're just not right now. But the Atlanta baseball team and Florida State University, get it together. We're demanding it. Okay, boom. Shout out to the U. So for the Commanders, they got Jaden Daniels from LSU, and he 12,000 passing yards, 3,000 rushing yards. Wonderful combination in the pocket, on the run, quick release. He goes through his progressions. Like, this guy is phenomenal. And you knew that he was either going to be number 2 or number 3. So it wasn't as clear cut as Caleb Williams, where we knew he was going to be the number 1 pick, but we knew that Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, and Drake May would be the top 3 picks unless the sky fell, right? So Jaden Daniels, and he's going in there with Cliff Kingsbury. And like I said, he's a mobile quarterback. You can't be and get 12,000 passing yards and 3,000 rushing yards, but he can throw the long ball also. And so, again, he's not going to deliver them to the promised land, but they will definitely – he is an upgrade at quarterback for Washington's starter. Now, how about this? Washington's backup last year is now the Patriots starter. And so when you look at what's happening in Chicago and Washington, where this rookie is going to go in and start immediately, Drake May, who came out of North Carolina and is the New England Patriots draft pick, will not need to start immediately. He is going to be able to learn a little bit under Jacoby Brissett. And Jacoby Brissett is never anybody's long-term answer at quarterback, as evidenced by the fact that he was the answer behind Andrew Luck Andrew Luck in Indianapolis, but then he wound up being out of there right after that when Andrew Luck retired abruptly. So Drake May will have some time to grow and then see if he can get the Patriots back to the promised land. But I'm going to tell you, I was actually at a Commanders game when they played the Rams, and I watched the Commanders, and it was like every time Jacoby Brissett came into the game as the replacement for their existing quarterback, and it was based on play, all this dude did was deliver touchdowns. He just delivered touchdowns and didn't turn the ball over. So if he goes in as your starter, New England may be better than people thought, but Drake May is going to have an opportunity to grow under Jacoby Brissett. So that's a big thing. Mm-hmm. Now, we talked a little bit about the Colts, talked about Peyton Manning, talked about Andrew Luck. Marvin Harrison Jr., son of the great Marvin Harrison out of Indianapolis, is the number 4 pick, and he is the Cardinals pick at receiver. And he is expected, so you ready for this? To help Kyler Murray deliver the Arizona Cardinals to the promised land.
That is fair. That is fair. He was that dog at St. Joe's Prep in Philadelphia when he was in high school. He was that dog at Ohio State. If anyone can do it, I think as soon as his toe touches the field, it's going to be electrifying. And I think that's going to have an immediate impact. As you said, I think it's going to be an immediate impact in a positive direction for the Cardinals. So, yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening because he looks like he is ready for the next level, without a doubt.
And here's the problem. Yes, and here's the problem. The expectations are unrealistic because it's still the Cardinals. And I guess maybe that's where I look at the past. So I think the Cardinals are going to Cardinal. No, I think that it's going to take some time, and I hate that they keep putting this on Kyler Murray. I hate that they keep putting this on Kyler Murray. I don't know how Cliff Kingsbury got another job. Speaking of Washington, this is beyond me. I just can't. I want the Cardinals to kind of do well because he's gone, but really?
Right.
Yeah. All right. So that's what I have for that. So Marvin Harrison Jr., shout out to him, out of Ohio State, the top wide receiver taken. So he broke the quarterback streak. And then the Chargers took a Notre Dame offensive tackle, Joe Alt. And, you know, for them, they're set at quarterback. They have receivers. They needed to shore up, they being the Chargers, needed to shore up their offensive line. And they need pieces on both sides of the line. So Joe Alt is going to fill in. He was really good in pass protection, really good at run blocking at Notre Dame. And the Chargers, need to protect Herbert, and they need to shore up the run game. And so Joe Alt is absolutely going to help them with that, or supposed to help them with that. And I just don't think you have, especially at a position like offensive tackle, edge, you're not having busts at these positions. You know, they're getting these right. And so, yeah, so Joe Alt, the number 5 pick. Then you went the number 2 receiver, who was the number 6 overall pick, Malik Neighbors, also out of LSU. So this was Jaden Daniels' target, or one of his targets. He's the Giants draft pick. And they're still going with the Giants. They're still going with Daniel Jones. And I mean, it's really put up or shut up time for Daniel Jones. It's put up or shut up time for that New York Giants coaching staff. I still don't understand how the New York Giants head coach is a head coach at all in the NFL. Why the Giants stay with him, I don't understand. I really don't. That being said, Malik Neighbors is supposed to make them better. They've still been waiting for someone to make them better since your guy made the catches, Odell Beckham Jr. Yeah, so here you go. Malik Neighbors with Daniel Jones. We'll see what happens. There is a time for us to start blaming Daniel Jones if that hasn't already happened. Shout out to Cobbs. Anthony Cobbs, this will be a great time to play the AC Sports Live drop, but I don't have access to it, Cobbs. It disappeared. Sam, can you? Nah, I don't want to chance it. So we might have to wait until next week, but shout out to AC Sports Live. Our guy, Anthony Cobbs, he has a show called AC Sports Live. It's on Tuesday nights. You can find it on all of the platforms, including, but not limited to, NGBN TV. So shout out to my guy, AC Sports Live. Go Bruins. We'll let him get off his Go Birds. He is a Philly fan. And so he's letting you know that the Giants are trash by saying Go Birds in the middle of us talking about the Giants. So I just want to be clear. They're in the same division. All right, moving on to J.C. Latham out of Alabama. Wow, Alabama. The first pick out of Alabama was the number 7 pick. What a draft, and not a quarterback. Offensive tackle by the Tennessee Titans. So size and power for him. He can move, like he'll move defenders, and he does a great job of protecting the quarterback. So where that translates to the Titans' needs, they needed to get better at left tackle. And so he is an offensive tackle, and assuming that he goes into that left tackle spot, then actually they still need the left tackle. He's actually going to go in on the right side. So that's the piece. So he can be really, really good, but if they just move the edge rushers to the left side, if they don't shore it up on the left side, then they're still going to have the problems that they had in Tennessee. So we'll see what happens. And we'll also see if he can adapt to the level of play at the NFL. But he's the number 7 pick, and he had a pretty good coach by all accounts. So I think that they will be okay. But Tennessee still needs pieces. So J.C. Latham is not going to deliver Tennessee to the promised land.
Right. And the interesting piece, a real interesting piece on J.C. Latham, when it came to just his pro day and looking at him, they were saying that Alabama, and some other teams do it, but they were saying specifically Alabama, they cross-train So he's played on both the left and the right. And so that's where they're saying he's extremely versatile. And if he needs to be moved, he has the ability or capability of doing so.
Okay. Okay, Sam. Coming ready for JC Latham.
There you go.
We appreciate you. You know, Sam might come late to the party, but he's gonna come with a bottle of something. He's gonna have some apple cider with him. So thanks, Sam, for coming to the party, brother. Michael Penix Jr. out of UW, drafted by the Falcons. UW is the University of Washington. And speaking of the University of Washington, the Washington coach is now the Alabama coach. Mobile, he understands defensive schemes, and you know, a lot of times they don't think our quarterbacks from our culture can understand defensive schemes. He can, and Promised Land, not now, but he's also sitting there with Kirk Cousins. They gave Kirk Cousins a $180 million contract, and even though the money is not always guaranteed, and that whole 180 is not guaranteed, it's not always guaranteed. Like, you did make an investment in Kirk Cousins. Like, you wanted him there, and Kirk Cousins was none too pleased that they drafted Michael Penix Jr., but the idea is for him to have a chance to sit and learn under Kirk Cousins, because of all of the teams that drafted quarterbacks in the top 10, this was the team that seemingly didn't have a problem at quarterback, right? So Michael Penix Jr. going to Atlanta to develop under Kirk Cousins, he's the quarterback of the future, but definitely not the quarterback of the present, if that makes sense. And, you know, Cobbs kicked in and said that Kirk Cousins is punching the air like Trey in Boys in the Hood. That's a culture shot, y'all. Always the culture. Always the culture on the Collective Podcast. Thank you, AC Sports Live. So then we had one of his targets, wide receiver out of Washington, go to the Bears. So that is another target for Caleb Williams there in Chicago. Rome Odunze. Is it Rome or Rome?
Rome.
Yeah, Rome Odunze. Yeah, he's going to join this revamped receiving core, and the receiving core that has Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. And so, yeah, another weapon for Caleb Williams that Justin Fields didn't have. But shout out to them for that draft pick. And then finally, and boy, this is exhausting just getting through the top 10, J.J. McCarthy, quarterback for Michigan, is now going into Minnesota. He's an accurate quarterback. He can make big plays under pressure. You know, he'll stay in the pocket. He'll move left, move right, and still deliver that ball that you needed. And I think that he might have won a big game or two this year coming out of Michigan. I'm not sure, but, you know, let me check. Oh, yeah, national championship. Okay. So he's in an ideal situation. He's got playmakers. You know, Minnesota was pretty good. So he's going into something, and he's going to be studying under Sam Darnold. And remember, Sam Darnold is better now because Sam Darnold studied under the great Brock Purdy. Go 49ers! I just want to let y'all know Sam Darnold is better now because he came through San Francisco. So
Here we go.
Uh-oh. Pace. Joseph's fastest Carl Lewis. He's black, not Jewish. And when he's on stage, he can do it. I'm Rodney. Oh, yes, good to go. Lead of the show. Make the ladies say, king of my castle, causing much pain. Shout out to Rodney O and Joe Cooley. You can't get enough of everlasting bass.
You need their hair, though. The hair would be legendary. Yes, the finger roll. They have finger rolls.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, finger
waves.
Yeah, finger waves. There you go, finger waves.
Joe Cooley. Hey, we
Okay,
need to
I
have.
think I think that's enough.
You're
I think
late.
that's enough.
You're late. I already stopped it.
Thank you.
I already stopped it. Okay. Are we okay? So hold on. Let me get to 15 and then 31.
Okay.
All right. So moving along. Thank you for that, Anthony Cobbs, AC Sports Live. Olu Fashanu, 11 for the Jets, offensive tackle. Bo Nix, number 12 to Denver. I hate the Broncos. You guys know why now. Number 13, actually not 15. Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. You want to talk about him? You want me to talk about him?
So Brock coming in at 6'4", 240.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Blasphemy. Rodney O greater than K Dot? I think not. You stop it. Because K Dot greater than Drake and J. Cole. Okay, go ahead. Talk about 13.
All right, so Brock Bowers, 6'4", 240, has great hands. He has a motor. The Raiders have needed a tight end ever since they let Darren Waller get out of there. So I'm hoping that coming into the Raiders organization, he will be that tight end of the future for the Raiders. I'm going to leave it there. In terms of the draft grade that I've seen on several different sites, they're grading him as average at best, but we shall see. Because he had a grade of a C from a couple of different entities.
Yeah, so let me give you guys a little more since we took the time. Like, he's going to complement Michael Mayer. Like, they're going to run a 2 tight end set there in Las Vegas. And by the way, Darren Waller is getting a divorce. Kelsey Plum filed for divorce. So there you go. Since you brought up Darren Waller. Yeah. All right. So will he make the Raiders better at the 13 pick? It seems like maybe not, according to Sam. Sam was like, He was like, just average. And when you use a 13 pick on an average player. Yeah. All right. Ricky Pearsall out of Florida, the 31 pick, the number 31 pick. Oh, wait. Cobbs is saying something about.
Yeah, we should have grabbed Michael Penix Jr. I agree. I wanted him so bad, but yeah.
Okay. Well, hold on. Well, what does that mean? They should have traded up.
Yes, they should have. Yes, they should have traded up for Michael.
Well, you have to say it all. Like, I mean, he's.
I think that. I really think
number 8.
I really think that they should have traded up and been bold. Like that's one thing about the Raiders. The Raiders, God rest Al Davis's soul. Al Davis was bold, and the organization was run as a bold organization. They're not bold any longer.
Jimmy Garoppolo is a Super Bowl contending quarterback. You don't want him?
In the words of Marty, look, in the words of Rome, silence, punk. No, man.
Listen, he got us to the Super Bowl, so I'm always going to.
He looks great. The best thing about Jimmy G is how he looks in his uniform when the game is starting. That's it.
You are so funny. You are so. All right, number 31 out of Florida, Ricky Pearsall, slot receiver, and we'll see. You know, interestingly enough, the Kansas City Chiefs traded up to draft a receiver higher on the board. They got Xavier Worthy out of Texas, and they traded up to draft before us because, you know, they were supposed to have the 32nd pick, but it's okay. So that's our first round. We gave you the top 10, and then we gave you the Raiders pick at 13. We gave you the Chiefs pick at 28, and we gave you the 49ers pick at 31. That's what we have for the NFL draft. There are other rounds, and I'm sure that you guys can find all that information. So we're not going through it because this is not a draft show. We just happen to share information about the draft. So shout out to us for talking about the NFL.
There we go.
Trade up. He fits the culture. Okay, so he did want you guys to trade up, but you guys didn't. So
you could have had the silver and black do-rags going. Man, come on now. That would have been it.
All right, man. So believe it or not.
All right, where we going?
Believe it or not. Go to the culture.
It is time for the culture.
Oh yeah, let me play the culture. I act like I don't really have this super long drive today. Did I tell y'all yet? I have to drive. Drive.
You're having a good time. That's why. So it happens.
Yeah, I am having a good time. Okay, go ahead, man. I guess I forgot I don't have a drop for the culture. So
yeah, you don't. You just have a banner for the culture. All right, folks. So for those of you, if this is your first time watching or listening, the culture. Did your team get better is the question. We're going back to.
But we were already 1B going into this, so you'll see, brother. We'll be back in the show and we'll close it out this time.
There we go.
Did you get better? So are you going to be in the NFC Championship game on the other side of us, brother? Did you get better? And that's not a shot. I'm just asking a question. Go ahead, Sam. Time for the culture.
All right. So as it pertains to the culture is a segment in which we bring you highlights or heads up on upcoming films, television projects, as well as music. And so for this week's culture, the film, it's about to release on the 3rd of May. So next Friday, The Fall Guy. The Fall Guy was one of my favorite shows growing up. It was an action show featuring Lee Majors, and he played stuntman Colt Seavers. So they've repurposed this for the big screen, in which Ryan Gosling is going to play Colt Seavers, this struggling stuntman who ends up being a pretty much a bail chaser or a bounty hunter. And so that's a $125 million project, and it's supposed to be action-packed. And if you haven't seen the trailer, check out the trailer. And if you grew up a fan of 80s TV and you loved The Fall Guy, I'd say check out The Fall Guy starring Ryan Gosling. A movie that I just watched that I had no idea even existed, I caught it on Netflix earlier in the week. Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery starring Daniel Craig, Kate Hudson, and Edward Norton. If you haven't seen that, the film came out in 2022. It is amazing. And it's the story of a billionaire played by played by Edward Norton. Edward Norton is a billionaire, and he kind of operates within the same vein as Elon Musk, where he's a real extravagant billionaire. But then he invites a group of friends to an island that he owns, and they go on a murder mystery. And so amazing film there. If you have not seen Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, you should check that out. It's on Netflix. It came out in 2022, but as I said, I just saw it. A couple of music projects that just recently dropped. There is an album that dropped, and that lets you know I'm old school. There's an artist named Asmo. He just dropped a project, Save the World. It's electronic dance music, so all instrumentals. Pretty dope piece there by Asmo. Another world piece comes from Ruger and Benson, and they have a piece called R&B. It's African soul music, which is also an awesome project. And then lastly, I'm a true lover of all things R&B and soul. There's an artist named Raheem who just dropped a piece called But If I'm Honest, Low and Slow, which is a pretty melodic, cool piece there as well. So I suggest those three projects: Asmo, Save the World, Ruger and Benson, R&B, and then Raheem, But If I'm Honest, Low and Slow, which is a cool R&B and soul project. All right. What do you have, brother?
This is Tech Talk Now.
Oh, you changed. Yeah, I want you to keep doing it. Keep doing it. Nah, all right. So we're gonna get into we're gonna go ahead and get into Tech Talk now. Tech Talk now. All right, brother, and my people. Welcome back to Tech Talk Now, where technology meets real life applications in fascinating ways. I'm your host, AC from LA, and today we're stepping onto the digital gridiron to explore how technology is reshaping the NFL, focusing on one of its most strategic events, the NFL Draft. Join us as we dive into Draft Day Tech, revolutionizing the NFL and its draft process. The NFL Draft isn't just a pivotal moment for teams and fans. It's a showcase of how deeply technology has penetrated the sport. From data analytics to virtual reality, tech is playing a central role in scouting, drafting, and training the next generation of NFL stars. Let's start with player tracking technologies. Companies like Zebra Technologies have equipped players with RFID tags that collect data on every move a player makes on the field. This isn't just about speed and distance, it's about acceleration, agility, and even formation dynamics. NFL teams use this data not only to assess player performance, but also to tailor training programs that enhance individual player strengths and address weaknesses. During the scouting process, biometric data plays a crucial role. Teams analyze everything from heart rate variability to sleep patterns, helping them understand how a player's body might withstand the rigors of a professional season. This level of detail extends into cognitive load measurements too, which can predict a player's decision-making speed and accuracy under stress. Now, consider the draft itself. In recent years, the integration of AI in player selection processes has seen a significant uptick. Teams employ machine learning algorithms to sift through decades of player performance data to identify patterns and predict outcomes. These algorithms can evaluate a college player's fit based on historical success rates of similar athletes, refining draft picks in ways that were unimaginable just a decade ago. So you have fewer busts. That's what I was talking about earlier. But what about the fan experience? Augmented reality and virtual reality are opening new frontiers. Imagine donning a VR headset to sit in the war room with team executives or watching a hologram of a draft pick appear in your living room. These technologies are not just gimmicks, they're becoming integral to how fans connect with the game and their favorite teams. And let's not forget about the implications for training post-draft. Virtual reality simulations allow rookies to learn playbooks and experience game speed without physical wear and tear. This can be crucial for cognitive development and injury prevention, giving players a virtual head start on their careers. As we wrap up today's deep dive into draft day tech, revolutionizing the NFL and its draft process, it's clear that the intersection of technology and sports is more exciting than ever. The NFL draft is just one example of how digital innovation is transforming every aspect of the game, from the field to the front office to your living room. I'm AC from LA, reminding you that in the fast evolving world of sports, staying ahead means staying connected. Keep tuning in for more insights into how technology continues to shape our experiences and expectations.
This is Tech Talk Now.
All right, brother. Let's get to the closeout. Thank you. I don't have time for the applause. So go ahead and close out, and don't try to steal the show. You got 30 seconds.
All right. So as we close out for this week, I had a great conversation earlier in the week in which I was talking to a friend, and we landed upon the importance of not allowing your inner fears to discourage you from trying something new. So you might have a career in which you're flourishing, but there's something else that you're interested in, perhaps going to a different company, exploring some other opportunities. And it's important to not allow your inner fears, the inner workings of fear, to discourage you from applying or putting your best foot forward. And so that really spoke in volumes to myself, because I'm at a crossroads in my career. And
hey, dude, I told you had 30 seconds. You're already going over. I got like 5 seconds.
I gotta wrap this. So make sure, don't allow your fear.
Podcast. We are out of here. We love you. We out. I couldn't close out.
Okay.